Welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, Zakiya Harris, who's the co-founder and artistic director of School of the Arts. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. Like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Zakiya Harris, artistic director. All these good titles, a lot of big things going on. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's lovely to have someone like you be in the seat tonight because we love what you're doing.
Wow.
You're doing a lot of things, so we're going to cover all that. But before we even get into the artistic directing and the school and the culture, who is Zakiya Harris?
Wow. Zakiya Harris, dancer, teacher, mentor, community activist.
Mm-hmm.
I guess all of those are the things that kind of sum me up in one. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't really never actually sit back, I guess, and put it all together. But I guess those are things that could kind of describe who I am.
And I always love asking that question first because people kind of, it's uncomfortable, but it's that good uncomfort because sometimes we have to take a moment and just look back at everything that you've done and what led to this point. So before you even started, let's talk about your love for the art and what even brought you up to this point.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, and I was exposed to dance very young, about the age of 5, from my parents. In Queens, that's typically like the thing to do. You have a little girl, first thing you're looking for is a dance school. So my parents enrolled me in dance from about the age of 5, and then ever since then, pretty much I've had a strong passion and desire for dance specifically. I love the arts, but dance is definitely where my passion lies. So I studied dance from the age of 5 through high school. I studied at several schools in Queens, but the school that probably had the most profound effect on my training and love for wanting to teach was the Vore Dance Center. And there I studied ballet, jazz, tap, African, modern, and hip-hop dance.
Wow. So you just covered the whole gamut.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and I want to tap into this because being a woman of color going into ballet, it's almost so stereotypical where they would be like, oh, do hip-hop, do this.
Right.
Why can't we do ballet? Why can't we do other things? I'm not saying that we can't. It's just so rare. Like, every year, I love the Rockettes. But Rockettes, you got to do better.
Right. Do better. Yeah. Definitely. There's, the representation.
If there is one
woman of color is definitely bleak within a lot of the professional circuits of dance. And that's pretty much has been my focal point when I decided to start a school and go into education and dance education in particular, is that I wanted to, teach dancers and young people that look like me and give them, and instill in them that support and that confidence that they could go out into the workforce of dance and really,
and that we're not limited to just one type of dance.
Definitely. So that you can be able to be well prepared to go to an audition that is for a ballet company or the Rockettes and be well prepared and be able to make that audition and be a part of that corps.
Absolutely. So that was great that you have formal training, you develop your passion, and then you branched out on your own.
Right, yeah.
And how has that been?
It's been an amazing journey. Definitely has its challenges, but it's definitely amazing to know that I had a goal and a dream from like a little girl to have my own dance studio, and then to actually, see that come into fruition has been a complete blessing. It's sometimes surreal, like especially every year at our recital, in June, I'm always kind of taken aback, like, wow, this is like, these are my students. I put this show together, and sometimes it's a little bit unimaginable just because growing up, it's a dream, but, sometimes you don't actually think or see that it can actually happen because it's definitely not easy.
And just getting the vision out from your head, what you see
Right.
in your head
And
being played out.
Right. And a lot of times what can happen, and I've seen it happen with my peers, is that as you grow up dancing and teaching for other people, sometimes it becomes very difficult for you to then branch off on your own. So sometimes, you become so invested and so, what's the word that I'm looking for? You become invested and committed to other people's dreams and goals that sometimes you forget, or you just put your own goals on hold, and
you get comfortable.
So I'm very thankful, and fortunate that I had that little shove, or God just really guided me to know, like, there's more for you out there, and by you going off and starting your own doesn't mean that you don't appreciate everything that was given to you or taught to you by those that came before you, or doesn't mean that you're less committed to them, but you also have, your own light and path that you must follow.
Absolutely. And that's taking the gifts that you're given and sharing that.
Exactly.
Because sometimes if it's not your own vision, not that when you work for somebody, but you're still limited because you're executing somebody else's dream.
Right.
Instead of purely your vision. So that is amazing. How long have you had your studio?
So Asaye Yaa, if I could give a little background history on Asaye Yaa. Asaye Yaa was started in 2001 by good friends of mine, Yawa Babio and his brother Kofi Osei Williams. We were teenage friends, and they began an African American dance company. So Asase Yaa started out as a professional dance company. I happened to be one of the founding company members. So I was a principal dancer, still am, but that's where we started. And then from then, we branched off and we started a day camp. And then in 2011, we started the School of the Arts. Being that my experience was in teaching dance, at that time I had already been teaching for the Department of Education for a few years and had been certified in dance. I really felt like it was time for me now to put, it out there that it was time for Asase Yaa to go in another direction where we could definitely, cater to the children. And so in 2011, we started Asase Yaa School of the Arts. So we're now in our 9th season.
9 years of you doing this.
Yes.
That's a long time. That's a long time because when you look at minority-based, how it is, it could be challenging.
Yeah, definitely. You don't always get the financial support that you need as a small business. We're also a nonprofit, so challenges come with that. But when you realize what the bigger purpose is, you just kind of push through those challenges and you keep pushing.
Absolutely. And that's how it's supposed to be, because you make it happen no matter what, and you just keep grinding, and that's important. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So Zakiya, something I wanted to focus on is, why did you pick children specifically as your target of who you wanted to teach?
I just remember the impact that my teachers had with me, and I wanted to be able to pass that on to other children. I know, especially with our demographics, all children aren't always afforded the opportunity to study dance at a very high level, in a professional setting. And I was fortunate enough to be able to, my parents were, able to send me and pay for me to go. But I realized that is not always the case. So with my experience of being a teacher within the Department of Education, I really realized that how much children really need that positive reinforcement. And through the arts is an excellent way to be able to do that. So I think that's why I really focused on working with children and young people. I just really feel like they are the future, and we should pour as much into them as we can.
So give us a description of the classes, kind of like the schedule, the format, and how many kids at a time you usually have.
Okay, so
like a day in the life.
Okay, so a typical day in the life at Asaye Yaa School of the Arts, we run most of our program on Saturday. We start at 10 a.m. and we finish at 5 p.m.
Oh, wow, it's a full day.
Yeah, a very full day. So within that day, we have about 4 different age groups. So we have our tiny tots, which are our 3 to 6 year olds. They have class from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and they're taking classes in ballet, tap, African, and hip hop.
So they get all of those,
right?
They don't have to choose a specific.
No,
one.
so they
That's
get
great.
to take all 4. Their classes are only 30 minutes. They're little, they're young, so their attention span is very short. So we don't want to overload them with too much in one day. So they do 30 minutes of each discipline, and then we have our level 1 class, which is pretty much like our beginner to intermediate. Those are our 7 to 9-year-olds, and they take ballet, tap, hip hop, jazz, and African. All the African classes are on Fridays, so we also have class on Friday where we do all the African, and then on Saturday we have all our other classes and art forms. We also have a level 2 and 3 class where they take the same ballet, modern, tap, African, jazz, hip hop, and then we also have a male program. So our males, they are studying different styles of African drum. So they do djembe drum as well as other drums, especially focused from Ghana. So they're learning different rhythms, different styles of drumming, and they do that from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So they are in a very intense schedule, and they also take capoeira.
That's amazing.
So that's our male program. And then we have our teenagers. So our teenagers come in later in the day, and they take all the classes as well.
I'm very interested on this male program because of the fact that it is something positive, and it could really be an outlet for men, young males, even older ones, just have something to do when they feel that they're actually doing something constructive.
Right. So with our male program, it really gives them a positive space to be able to be artistic, to be athletic, to be boys, but to be around other young boys doing positive things,
and that's the key thing.
Keeping their day full. They're learning skills, and even if in the future they don't go off to be professional musicians or percussionists, they're still learning skills and life skills, discipline, how to work in a group, and that how to work collaboratively. So a lot of the older boys, they eventually become the drummers for our classes. So we have some of the older boys who are a little bit more experienced. They come in at 10 a.m. and they drum for our tiny tots. So they're learning how to work in collaboration with a teacher. They're also learning a skill that where maybe later on in their future they can eventually, become professional percussionists.
That is great. And the capoeira part is so, that's a discipline on its own.
Yes, definitely.
And I know if they were to try to go do that outside, it would not be that same level because it's tied in. This is a very, very good program that you designed. Like, you can't find this you either get, it's very linear everywhere else you go.
Right.
You have to specifically just take what you want. And that's it.
Right. And our program, although we do give parents, the freedom to be able to decide, what they want ultimately for their children, we kind of already give it to you in a package, because a lot of times parents that make a decision and say, oh, I don't think this is for my child, or I don't think that they are ready for that, and more times than none, the child is ready. And they discover something about themselves that they would have never known had we just given them limits and let them sometimes say, okay, well, they're only going to take ballet and hip hop. But no, we offer all of these things, and they should be able to experience all of them, because in each discipline, something else is a different spirit, a different energy is awakened in your child. So what you can get out of a child from studying ballet, you're not going to get out from studying tap or from studying African. It's definitely going to awaken different spirits and emotions. So, I love for them to be able to experience, all the genres.
And when a child signs up, it's how many weeks of a class?
So the program runs from September to June.
Oh, okay. So this is long term.
Yeah, so it's about a 40-week program. And then we end in June with our recital. Mm-hmm. So at the recital, they are showcasing everything that they've learned throughout the year. So for our tiny tots, being that they take ballet, tap, hip-hop, and African, they are performing 4 routines, 4 separate 3-minute routines. And these are 3 and 4-year-olds that...
And they hold it down and they have no problem.
Nope, you don't have anyone on the side doing the steps for them.
No one's crying.
You may have 1 or 2 that may get a little stage fright, but the majority, they are ready. June comes and they are fully prepared and they are ready.
And how does that make you feel to see not just the little ones, but the bigger kids as well when that recital day comes?
It's very rewarding, especially when you see the student who not necessarily in September was comfortable or as social or just confident, and then that show day comes and they put on that costume and they have their makeup and something just switches, like a light just switches, and then they have all the confidence in the world, and then I feel like with that they feel like they can conquer anything. So to me, it's just very rewarding.
So that's almost like the bigger message. If there's any takeaway that comes from that, would be to make sure that like you said, it awakes something else in you, mm-hmm. that's so valuable for the child.
Right.
That's amazing. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So, Zakiya, how do we get in contact with you? Because I'm excited to share this with everybody at home. How do we reach out to you, see some of your work? How do we do that?
So, you can follow me on my personal page on Instagram, Miss_Harris, Harris, the number 2, the letter U. Or you can also follow Asaye Yaa on Instagram. We have 2 separate pages. One where you can find everything Asaye Yaa, from our African American dance theater to our workshops to our children's classes, and that is at Asaye Yaa. That is ASASEYAA. Or you can find out all things about the dancing school at Asaye Yaa, ASASEYAA_dance.
That's great.
And we're also on Facebook as well, Asaye Yaa Cultural Arts Foundation.
Now, do you allow students to come in mid-year, or they have to come in September because they might have missed? If you come in a little too late, it's almost like you've missed most of the program.
No, from September to about January, it's still a rolling admission. So I understand that a lot of times in the beginning part of the year, school is just starting. A lot of students are in Saturday programs and have other commitments that they're finishing up from the summer. So I don't put a hard deadline on when registration ends. But about mid-January is when we probably will end registration, because at that point we are really focusing on the recital. And I wouldn't want a student to come in and feel like overwhelmed with trying to play catch up. So like the first 3 or 4 months is strictly skill building. And then after that, we start focusing on routines and choreography for our recital.
So your team is of how many of you? Because, I mean, there's people for the tots, the intermediates.
Right. So right now we have a staff that actually teaches of about 7 staff. And then we have, of course, our executive board that handles everything from, making sure emails go out, making sure notices are, are given. We have people who handle social media and those things. But as far as the artistic board, there are about 7 instructors.
Wow. And your forte?
I would say my forte is probably West African dance, and that is as a performer. But I actually love teaching tap the most.
Really?
And people say that all the time because most people who know me or have followed my career know me as an African dancer. Mm-hmm. But I love teaching tap.
What is it about tap that you enjoy on the teaching aspect versus the performing aspect?
I think tap can be very intimidating, especially for students if they don't start learning it from a young age. So something about the challenge of getting a student to embrace tap, number one, and actually realize that they can do it, that part to me is like amazing. When a student actually can get a step or they realize like, wow, I can really create this sound. Mm-hmm. That part, like watching that aha moment for the student is nothing like it. So I think that's part of why I enjoy teaching tap, because most students shy away from tap.
Mm-hmm. I understand. And it doesn't seem like it's the easiest to learn. It's
not the easiest to learn, but it's definitely, you can definitely learn it, and you don't have to be like, don't have to have started learning at 4. Like you can definitely start learning tap at 12, at 13. For instance, at my school, because I teach, like I said, in a high school, last year was the first year, and I've been here for 15 years. Last year was the first year that I actually had the students get tap shoes, and we learned tap. And majority, if not all, these are 10th graders, was their first experience with tap dance. And they loved it. And they were really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is truly amazing. But when we're seeing Zakiya Harris on stage, the performer.
Right.
West African.
West African.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever consider going out, or maybe you've done trips to Africa?
I actually just came back from Ghana.
Mm-hmm. Were you at that big concert?
Afrochella? Yes. So I went to Ghana for 9 days for New Year's. I brought in a New Year in Ghana. But while I was there, I did get a chance to study at the University of Ghana, Legon campus. And I was able to study with a professor and learn 2 traditional Ghanaian dances. So that was like an amazing experience.
So you went out there and got the knowledge and the know-how and bringing that back here. That's
right.
Direct knowledge that we can't even get.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. How was that experience just to be out there?
The experience was amazing. The people are amazing. It really felt like being home. So this was my second time on the continent. The first time I went to South Africa, and that was in 2005. And so I haven't been back to Africa since this 2019. And it was just an amazing feeling. It took me maybe like 3 days for it to hit like you're in Africa, because it just felt like home.
And they're doing the whole welcome home.
Right, the year of the return. So it really felt welcoming. The people of Ghana are very friendly, very hospitable. So it was an amazing experience. I highly recommend anyone of African descent at some point in their life to get to West Africa.
Get out there and do that.
Yep.
And get a little preview. And if you can't make it out there, Asaye Yaa.
Yep, we got you covered.
Any final words for the viewers?
Support the arts whenever you can. As parents, engross your children in the arts, even if it's just taking them to see a musical or a ballet or some type of dance performance, or taking them to the museum to see some art exhibit. Being a philanthropist or someone who appreciates the arts really makes you just appreciate humanity. I feel like it creates a more well-rounded human being. So I just say, as much as you can, immerse yourself, immerse your children in the arts, and support the arts whenever you can.
And that's it. And when you do that, it's going to be great. So, Zakiya, thank you so much for being our guest this week. We loved it. And Asaye Yaa, everybody go and check it out. All the info's at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you check it out. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us.
Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.